There were a lot of storylines going into this fight, but that's no surprise. There always is when you have a rematch of this caliber. All of the belts were on the line. Now for Joshua, a big part of that story was redemption. This was the second loss he suffered recently, and against a much smaller man. He's been at the forefront of heavyweight boxing for a lot of years, so he needed to regain the crown, regain that storied position at the top. For Usyk, it was a story of proving you belong. Even though he's been incredibly successful, he's been known as a phenomenal boxer ever since his amateur days. But anytime you compete at a lower weight class and move up to heavyweight, there's always going to be people that cast some doubt on what you can do. Always going to be some people who question how effective you can be. And even though he had been successful and won the belts, there was still a little bit of doubt. There was still some people out there who tried to explain it away as the smaller man winning because Joshua fought the wrong fight. Now that he was going to have a chance, he was going to have some time to prepare, he was going to be able to correct those mistakes. And as soon as the opening bell rang, I don't think it took very long to see it all, that we were dealing with a different Anthony Joshua. We were dealing with an Anthony Joshua who made some changes. He went out prior to this fight, he changed head trainers, he started working with Robert Garcia, and in my prediction video, I mentioned that I wasn't sure how much of a difference he was going to be able to make. It was only going to be their one training camp that they had together. I wasn't sure how big of a change he was going to be able to make working the corner. But it became apparent very quickly that he made a big difference. Joshua's balance looked much better. He looked much looser. He looked more fluid. He utilized better upper body movement. And even though it was a relatively uneventful round, you could tell that things were going to be different. The second round was a clear round for Joshua. He comes out, he starts working the body well, presumably in an attempt to slow Usyk down later in the fight. He's landing the right hand well. He was just playing the role of the bigger, stronger man perfectly. He was controlling the distance, never letting Usyk find his rhythm. He pressed when he wanted to, and he just found ways to land his shots. And another big change that we were seeing in this fight already was that Joshua was being far more active as a counterpuncher. He was firing something back almost every time Usyk fired a combination off. And that was a great tactic, and it was already paying off for Joshua. But by the end of the third round, we started to see a change. Usyk was slowly working his way into this fight. He was slowly finding ways to land that left hand. First couple rounds, he kept it in the pocket a little bit, but by the end we started seeing it come out. He was starting to get the speed and the movement of Joshua, so he was beginning to understand the angles that would work. And by the end of the third round, you could see that he was already making some adjustments, and they were already paying off. Now, rounds 4 through 7, Usyk took control of the action for the most part, and it wasn't until the 8th round. That 8th round, we saw the momentum swing back, man. Joshua came in, and he landed some absolutely brutal body shots that kind of reminded Usyk and everybody else that he's still dangerous. You can win a lot of rounds, but Joshua is a threat all the way into the very end of the fight. And then round 9. Round 9, we saw Anthony Joshua come out there, and he had the best round, period. The best round of either fight for him, he came out, and that was round 9. He went out there, and he did some great work. Put an absolute hurting on Usyk. Just showed a renewed commitment to the body. Great combinations, great pressure. He hurt Usyk, and he never let up. It was a signature round for Joshua, and then it was honestly one that had me wondering whether or not Usyk was going to be able to make it through the 10th round. He made it out of that 9th, and I thought, I don't know if a minute is enough to recover. I'm unsure what Usyk's going to come out with in the 10th here. It's going to be interesting to see, but Usyk delivered. He is a true champion. He came out there in that 10th round. As soon as the bell rang, he's got very high energy, goes back to that lateral movement, took control early, and as good as the 9th round was for Joshua, that's how good the 10th was for Usyk. By the end of the round, Joshua was on stiff legs. He didn't have a good moment in that round at all. Usyk completely took control, took the momentum back. And that was basically all she wrote. You want to look at the 12th round? I actually gave that to Joshua. He looked good, landed some big shots, never let up, no quit in him. But ultimately, at the end of the day, this was the Oleksandr Usyk show, man. He came out once again and showed what he's able to do. He showed that he belongs. He showed that he's incredibly talented. He made the adjustments that he needed to, even in fight, and showed that he's a force to be reckoned with. And it's a shame Fury retired, because if Tyson Fury would not have retired with Wilder coming back in October, we'd be talking about the 4 horsemen of the heavyweight division. Tyson Fury, Oleksandr Usyk, Deontay Wilder, and Anthony Joshua. Because believe me, even though Anthony Joshua lost this fight, he put out a super good performance. I had a 115-113 for Usyk. That is a very good performance from Anthony Joshua. He made a bunch of changes. He looked far better than he did in their first matchup. But it is what it is, right? I'm just glad we get to see such great work from the big men. The heavyweight division isn't always one that delivers. You look back over time and you definitely get periods where things aren't all that really exciting, but that is not the story lately. We've been getting some great work from these guys. I'm just happy to be here to see it. So let me know what you guys think. Were you as impressed as I was with what Usyk brought to the table in this one? Were you impressed with what Anthony Joshua did? He made some clear changes. Robert Garcia came in there as a trainer, definitely made a difference. Do you think that's going to set him up great for his next fight? And what do you think the next fight is for each man? Deontay Wilder just made a recent announcement that he's coming back in October against Robert Helenius. Do you think he should be fighting Anthony Joshua? Do you think if he gets a big win, then he should be in there against Usyk? Let me know what you guys think.